Hello and welcome to the Business of Meeting podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rosenberg. Over the years, I've had the privilege of helping businesses in the meetings and event industry grow and succeed. And I'm excited to share that experience with you. If you feel alone and overwhelmed, and if you're looking to take your business to the next level, improve your strategy and sales, and connect with like minded professionals, you are in the right place. I invite you to visit eventbusinessformula.com and join our community of event business owners dedicated to exponential growth. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. And today I have the great pleasure speaking with someone I've been trying to get on the podcast, but she is traveling all the time. She's absolutely a rock star in our industry. She's the lead events manager for Altria. She has a podcast, which is like an even boss. She's been awarded, I don't know how many awards she's had with different organizations in this industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Carrie Davenport. Carrie, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. And I'd love to have that intro every Monday morning. I think I'll call you every Monday morning so that you can hype me up like that. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Eric. You are obviously an icon in this industry. So I'm so glad our schedules were aligned so that we could actually meet.
Wonderful. Thank you. You've been doing so much in our industry, so much in events, so much for women in events. Before we get into that, my favorite question when I have a guest is, what is your journey?
Oh my goodness. So I always say that this could take an hour or more. I will try to condense it into about 2 minutes. Like many people in the industry, I kind of accidentally fell into the industry. I was studying psychology, which actually is really great for meeting planners. And has really helped me a lot over the years. But I was studying psychology. I had never heard of meetings management, event management. And somebody in my dorm said, you know what, you're really good at organization and putting together all of the events for us. You should really do this for a living. And I said, that doesn't exist. And boy, was I wrong. So I changed path. I went to Australia and studied abroad, studied event management, and then moved back home. And I was lucky enough to go to a job fair and get picked up right away by a third-party planning company. And I started in military events and trade shows. And I was working in military bases all over the US and the UK, and also for NASA and DIA, CIA, FBI, planning their trade shows at
Oh, wow.
2 years old. I know, wild journey. And then I moved into the association world for about 10 years and planned some of the biggest citywide large scale conferences in the country. And then over the last 5 to 8 years, I've been corporate. So now I'm corporate. Obviously, I do a lot on the side. I started the Association for Women in Events in 2015. I do have that podcast that you mentioned, like an event boss. I'm a writer. I write for Golf and Travel Magazine, for Women's Health Magazine, for several other publications, and at my website. And I'm also a coach and mentor, and it's really important for me to elevate women in the events industry. So that's my focus. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's amazing. When you were saying organizing trade show for the FBI, the CIA, I'm just thinking, who are the exhibitors and what about the security for those events?
You know what? So the exhibitors were all security companies. So security, data security, physical security. So I was literally doing the tech, mostly the tech trade shows for those entities. So very locked down, a lot of red tape, very logistically challenging. And that was my first job out of college. So I was really thrown into the deep end.
Wow. And then you say you work in the association world and corporate. How similar or how different is your experience in the association world and in the corporate world?
I would say so different, other than the fact that we're organizing experiences and events for people night and day. Obviously, budgets are different, expectations are different. In my corporate role, I don't have to worry about sponsorships or ticket sales or ticket prices or, budgeting to make up the bulk of the association income. So it's a little bit of weight off my shoulders. Associations have so much heart, though. I loved working in the association realm. People truly believe in the cause that they're working for. So it's just a totally different landscape. But luckily, events remain the same throughout.
So when you speak about your experience in corporate, so what is association corporate, third party, independent business owners will also come to support those organizations.
Yeah.
What do you see in your role now in corporate, we call the language of business? I always said I don't understand why people differentiating themselves if they come and only ask logistical question. They should ask strategic question about the industry, about what the company is doing. But what is your advice for business owners when it comes to the language of business? If they want to come to you and help you in all the meetings you're putting together, what are you looking for, and what is the difference for you when you hear someone speaking about your business rather than logistics?
Yeah, for me, it's all about demonstrating value and providing ROI in quantitative terms. So I think as meeting planners, we get stuck a little bit in the qualitative, like we want to produce beautiful meetings. We want people to feel good. And sometimes those are really difficult to measure. And we also, do spend a lot of time in the weeds in the logistics, and we're very, very busy. So it's hard to, there's a bit of a divide, I would say, between the C-suite and the language that they're using and meeting planners, because I think the C-suite, they want to hear quantitative, they want numbers, they want hard data. And I think that, my partners and third party, they come in, and when you can demonstrate that, and when you can show metrics and value and how to meet KPIs and help me, work that language into what I do to sell that up to the C-suite, I think that's invaluable. So I think
Mhm.
we really should be thinking as meeting planners, if we want to move up in our careers, if we want to influence the C-suite more, we have to learn to speak the language of business, right? Which a lot of times is quantitative. And it has to do with benchmarking and those KPIs. So we have to fine tune our language so that we're speaking their language so that we sell ourselves to them and enhance our events.
Great advice. Yeah, thank you for that. In terms of measurement, I'd like to know a little bit more. What are you measuring, or how are you measured internally, and what are you measuring in terms of the success of an event? I remember when I had my corporate event agency, I was absolutely struck that some sales director, for instance, when I was asking them, why do you do a sales meeting? They would say, oh, because we're doing it every year. And I was like, oh my God, how is that possible that even that person will go to their board and justify anything? So what are you measuring in terms of the events, and how are you measured internally?
Yeah, well, we do some qualitative and quantitative, because what I do is a little specialized. I'm not in a specific sales chain, so it's not like I'm bringing people in to buy anything. So it's a little bit difficult on my side because I am planning those executive level experiential events, some with a business component and some without. So it is a little
Mhm.
difficult to measure apples to apples across all of my
Right.
events. I will say that what you said earlier kind of struck me. I had a conversation with one of my VPs a couple years ago, and she came to me and she's like, I have 6 weeks. I want to plan, like you said, the sales meeting, and you just need food and beverage and space, right? And I said, actually, you know what? This is a great time to have a conversation. I know that I'm newer to the company and we haven't had a chance to talk about this, but what I do is really specialized and strategic. And I want to know how you want, like, first of all, why? The why. Why are you planning this meeting? What do you want people to walk away with? How do you want people to feel? How do you want to make people feel? Do you want this to be traditional? Do you want it to be, a round table? Like, there were so many components that she truly didn't have an idea existed in the industry. And she walked away saying, wow, thank you for that. Before I thought it was a little more administrative. Now I believe that you're looking out for the strategic impact of the organization, of my team, and how to truly better people to do their job. And I think that's the conversation that we need to be having across associations and third party and corporate, and then talk about the measurables, because they are different for each event. And if we set the same metrics for everything that we do, like I said, a sales meeting is very different than an executive retreat, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. So it's really digging into what the person throwing the event wants to accomplish. So I think you have to be really strategic.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you say about how we can have a wrong perception of what we do outside of the industry, including in the organization we work for. Somebody recently said that until their parents died, they still didn't know what she was doing.
Right, right. Yeah. And there's a big perception issue right now, I think, in the events industry. And we're having a really hard time as meeting planners, as third parties, as vendor partners demonstrating value, right? In what we do and how it does tie into the strategic business plan at a higher level for any organization. And it's starting to talk that language about how your role does tie into those things and trying to demonstrate like the line of ROI. So yes, I planned this experience for executives. Is there a lot of quantitative data? No, but does it strengthen the partnership and does that lead to sales, down the line or stronger partnership or more X, Y, and Z? So it's talking about that and getting excited about that. And then finding a way as meeting planners to not shy away from the fact that yes, we do logistics, but we also do so much more. In associations, usually the annual meeting brings in like a good 30% of the annual budget, which is absolutely wild. So those people are the lifeblood of their organization. They keep those associations and nonprofits running. That's not a small thing, but sometimes we make ourselves small because we are so caught up in the minutia and the day-to-day and the details, and that's what we're really, really good at. So it's hard to make time to think higher level, bigger picture. So there is that perception piece. I talked about that a lot in the industry. I want us to change that so that we are perceived for our true value in what we actually do as meeting professionals.
Absolutely. I so agree with you. On one hand, is exactly what you say. Meetings, face-to-face meeting, are helping to solve any issues from an organization. Down the road, if you want to be successful, you'll have a face-to-face meeting. And on the other hand, it's also, I think, important, and we own that responsibility on how we talking. When I had my corporate event agency, the way we're differentiating, even during the subprime crisis at that time, was to go in and instead of asking, Carrie, how many people are coming? Do you want a welcome cocktail? Do you want a farewell dinner? And I said, okay, if I understand well, in your industry, those are the challenges. Your competitor is doing this. And I heard that next year, those are the three objectives that you have. So what are you expecting from the people that are attending? How do you want them to feel, to act? Are you going to measure that? It's a totally different approach. And instead of putting yourself in the box of logistics, you are getting what they call the seat at the table, but you called earlier on in the planning process. So when you see that, looking at all the industry, what is your advice to business owners in terms of being seen as a strategic partner instead of and understanding what they're doing and make their client understand what they're doing?
I love this one. This is so relevant to me because I do use a lot of partners, and any planner that says that they're a standalone, it's just not true. We're project managers. We own a lot of relationships. I hire a lot of vendor partners. I keep and retain a lot of business partners because I have to make really smart decisions because I don't want to change year over year over year. So, the biggest thing that a partner, a business owner can do is come in demonstrating that they understand the business, that they appreciate what we do, and then offer the latest and greatest to me. Because I am always in my role in any organization that I've been with, my job is to stay relevant. My job is to stay on top of new trends and to outdo myself year over year. And it's really difficult, but I'm also doing all of the things to also stay, in the know of the trends and the new. So it's been so vital for me to choose partnerships that come in and say, hey, I'm sure you're killing it. I have really great products. Also, let me show you a couple of things that I've seen in the industry that are really amazing. And you may or may have not seen them, but I love that. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you for not gatekeeping. Thank you for sharing. Like, you want to, I can tell that you want to be a partnership, not just a vendor, right? Like, you want to be an extension of my team, which is the most important thing for a partnership, because once you're in, you truly are an extension of my team. And like when they're invested in us and our future, it's exactly what I'm looking for.
That's awesome. And you remind me of a story when I actually land an amazing client by just being honest with them. So I've heard their speech to the entire company the day before. And the next day we're talking, and the CEO asked me, he said, listen, I'm planning to put that type of event together. What do you think? And I look at him and he said, what? I said, well, to be honest, sir, from what you say yesterday, where you want the company to be in 3 years, I don't really see the link between the two.
Wow.
And he looked at me and said, why nobody in my team is telling me that? So, being assertive and being honest, it's helpful, but honestly, it's hard sometimes. You're intimidated, or you don't know how the person's gonna react.
We definitely need that outside perspective though, because we're so deep in our own business and what we do. And sometimes we get caught in routines, and it's difficult for us to see that view. So it's so refreshing when someone is candid and comes in and says, you're doing this. I think you could do it better with our help. And here's why. I love that.
Absolutely. And you say you like to keep informed of what's new or the trend. How do you do that? Is there any specific source of information? Are you also reading things outside of the industry? What is your advice here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a member of certain organizations like PCMA and MPI. I attend both of those conferences, Convening Leaders and WEC. I'm also going to attend the National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners event this year for the first time to just get a different perspective in the industry. That's in Birmingham in a few weeks. I just try to stay immersed. Obviously, I wish we talked earlier. I was just at IMEX. I try to go every other year, send some team members. My team went. I came over when I could this year because I was running dual meetings. But those are my moments to not only see like the newest products and latest and greatest, but also to connect with business owners face to face and potential partners and my contacts in the industry that I've held near and dear for the last 20 years. So it's really important for me to make time for those events. I am reading industry publications and blogs and meetingsnet.com, and Smart Meetings is a great resource for women and events, and for men as well. They have a specific lane for women that I really love. So there's a lot that I do.
And to your point, you are going out of your house or out of your office, and you're going in person, because those conversations don't happen over Zoom or Teams. You have to be there in person.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of Zoom fatigue. I think we all are. A lot of, and also a lot of internet problems, like all of us.
So far, so good. Thank God.
Right, I know. Thank goodness. My last podcast, not so much. It cut out halfway through, but knock on wood, we're going to be fine. I work from home and I travel a lot. So I have a good balance of being alone and seeing a lot of people, especially at the airport. I'm an introvert, so I'm okay being alone. But I think it's so important and vital just to have those touch points and to see people in person and to stay relevant and on top of your game. And honestly, we're going through a generational change too. So I really need to understand that as the workforce is kind of aging out and this new group is coming in, like I don't have that lived experience. So I'm really super interested to understand kind of the next generation and what motivates them, what their version of success is, how I can help them, how I can build teams. So I'm really excited by that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I interviewed recently on my podcast Taylor Smith, who worked for Meetings Today magazine.
Yeah.
And she's amazing about the different generation, and gave a lot of a great insight. Carrie, one of the things that really attracted me in what you do, and that's why I wanted to have you on my podcast, is all the work you do for women and for women in events. First of all, let's talk about the Association for Women in Events. And what is the genesis of it? How did you decide to launch it, and what are the activities today?
Yeah, so in 2014, I was in all of those organizations that I spoke of before, the PCMAs, the IAEs, I was getting my CSEP designation, and I was looking for a specific lane for women. I was not finding one. So 2014, if you think about it, pre-Me Too, pre-DEI, pre-COVID, there wasn't a lot in the way of women's centric groups outside of like single day programs or 1 or 2 day conferences. So my thought process was to build a community where women could come together and share resources, be resources to one another. Again, talk about that lived experience as a woman in the workplace, some as mothers in the workplace, some as caretakers in the workplace. And it's just a different experience that hadn't really been tapped into. So I brought together 4 other colleagues in the industry, and we launched the association in 2015. It very quickly, in under a year, it grew to over 1,000. And we had committees and launched conferences. We had 2 Elevate conferences pre-COVID. And then, as we all know, the pandemic hit in 2020. And at that time, I had to take a step back and really think about what was right for an organization such as that, a paid membership organization. And I went to the board and I said, as we're seeing so many people without a job, so many people having to care for family, so many people being let go in the event sector, I was like, it does not feel right to have a paid membership right now. It's the last thing people need to worry about. It's the last thing people need to think about. Why don't we transition this from, this conceptual organization with resources to an online community? So we effectively over 2020, 2021 kind of transitioned the Association for Women in Events to a Facebook page with resources and a LinkedIn page with resources. We did, I won't say disband the board, but we did shutter the 501c3 organization because there wouldn't be any income coming in. We gave sponsors back their money at the start of 2022. We did everything that we thought was right, but that effectively ended the organization AWE as we knew it. So now it exists in a lot of love. It still exists in people, still exists online. But now that we're past the pandemic and onto this like new bright future of events, like I'm hoping there's a bit of a renaissance and we're able to bring back the community. I'm just looking for the right people to make it happen so that we can do it in the right way.
Awesome. Yeah, especially in an industry that has 80% of women.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the impetus in the beginning. I was like, where, 80%, we need to be represented in a bigger way.
Absolutely. And I see it with most of the people, the business owner I'm coaching are women. That's part of the industry. I have 3 daughters, and I've brainwashed them since they could read. We always had on the fridge this quote from Sheryl Sandberg that says, if anybody tell you that you're bossy, tell them you have executive leadership skills.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that book. Actually, I was still living in Belgium, so I was translating to French, Lean In.
Yes.
And I read it. I bought it to every female friends that I knew in the business and outside the business, but in corporate. Something struck me beside all the great messages that Sheryl Sandberg wrote about. It is how a man and a woman apply for a job. If a man thinks that he can deliver 50%, he would apply. And a woman will always wait to be qualified in her mind 80, 90% to apply, which is insane.
Yes.
And knowing that
all the time. I quote that to
right?
people all the time. I love that book, by the way.
So
very inspirational.
Based on what the work you've done and then you continue to do for women in events, what is your advice for women that own their business in terms of leaning in terms of not being afraid, or if you are like you and me, a recover introvert, what is your advice for women that own their business?
Yeah, I have a few pieces. One is find your champions in the industry, right? Find people that believe in what you do, your skill set, believe in you. Find great mentors. They will open doors for you. They will connect you. They will cheerlead you. They're the biggest thing that you need in your corner to succeed and move forward. The other one is get used to no. Get really, really comfortable being uncomfortable. Get really, really comfortable hearing the word no, because you're
Mm.
going to hear it a lot. It's not personal. You're going to hear it. You're going to try for things. You're going to try for things that are bigger than your skill set and your scope as you grow. And you're going to hear no. And that just means it's not right for you at the moment. It doesn't mean that it's the end of what you do. It's not personal. You need to get comfortable with it so you can grow. I've had so many moments in my career where doors have shut and I've been devastated, and it has led to an amazing, bright future. And it has been always the right path for me. I just posted the other day on LinkedIn, I was called by Apple probably 10 years, it was actually 10 years ago, out of the blue. And they wanted to interview me, and I was like, absolutely. They flew me to Cupertino. I got to go to the Apple headquarters and meet with the team. And then I was rejected. I wasn't even given a call back. I was rejected. And I'm so grateful for it, because I've been able to carve out time for AWE, for the podcast, for my career as it stands now, and the dream job that I'm in with Altria. So, get used to no, and get used to not getting what you want 100% of the time, because you have to think that there are open doors around every corner.
Right. Being rejected actually is for anyone being rejected. But I always have this say with some friends that when something happened, bad thing, good thing, you never know.
Yeah.
It's how you react to it, and exactly the way you demonstrated that.
Yeah, it's always about the comeback. I always tell people I'm the queen of the comeback, right? I'm the queen of the bounce back. Like, if something happens, then I will find a way, after mourning it a little bit, to spin it to work for me. Right. And I think that that's an important mindset to have, especially as a woman, because you need to build that resiliency muscle. That's just part of being a woman in business. Like, we're still not there. We know that we're still not there 50-50 with DEI. Women aren't represented 50-50 on boards yet. Like, we're still not there. So get resilient, and then, make your place, pull up a chair to the table, like, make a spot for yourself. Like, again, use your mentors, use your champions, and demonstrate your value so that you're asked to pull up your chair to the table. It sounds easy. I know it's not, or else it would be done. But, those are just a couple of small thoughts.
Absolutely. Now their progress, thank God. I saw last week this panel, Holly Ransom was facilitating it, and she was interviewing President CEO of ASAE, Michelle Mason, President CEO of Site, Annette Gregg, President CEO of IAEE, Marsha Flanagan. So there's progress.
There is, absolutely. And there can always be more. I'll be greedy until the end. There can always be more. More room, more jobs, more C-suite positions.
What else would you say to a business owner, a female business owner, when it comes to organizing herself between, private, professional life integration, when it comes to delegation and surrounding yourself with other people?
I'm laughing because I just had a conversation with one of my mentors 2 weeks ago about this, because I'm still not there when it comes to delegation like I need to be. We get into this industry usually, no matter what side you're on, because you're a type A personality, you're a bit of a control freak. We like what we do. We like to own things. We like to own relationships. And it's, these conferences are my baby, right? But I do find that I am best when I relinquish pieces of the puzzle to my team, pieces of the puzzle specifically to vendors and business owners outside of myself, just because the world perspective and the lived experience is so great between everybody, right? I have 20 years of experience, great, but combined we have 150, 200 years of experience in all different sectors. So it'd be crazy not to delegate to other people. When it comes to work-life balance, I have really been dialing that in since 2020. Actually, I've been dialing that in since 2014. So 2014, I was living in, I guess 2013, 2014, I was living in DC. I had been there for 10 years in my career, and I was just not feeling it, not happy. Didn't love the area, didn't love my 2-hour commute each way to my office. 4 hours a day. And that's if, it all worked out. And I wasn't loving what my life looked like. And I took control in that moment and I said, I don't have to live like this. I can still be me. I've shown my value. I don't have to live like this. And I did the craziest thing. I sold everything I owned. I had just built a house. I gave away purses, clothes, furniture. I sold my house and I bought a yacht. And I went and got my captain's license and I moved to San Diego on the boat. And I lived on the boat and I went to my job and I said, I'm moving onto a boat. What you gonna do about it? Not like that. I did not say it like that. But I did have supportive people in the organization. And one of the executives was working partially from the office, partially from another city. So I felt like empowered enough, another woman in the C-suite, right? And I felt through seeing her, visualizing her experience and knowing that it could be done, that I could do it too. So I pitched a full case of how I could live on this boat. I could live across country from DC, yet I could still get everything done and I could still be a meeting professional. And I was traveling anyway, so why not? So it worked and I did it. And since 2014, I've been living the life that I choose to live, which has been way more fulfilling than living the life that I'm supposed to be living. Now, post-COVID, everybody works from home or can work from home or can, there are a lot of options, but there wasn't in 2014, right? I was kind of a trailblazer in that. But it's still, I still tell people like, you don't have to be unhappy and you can still do what you do, even if you carve out a different path for yourself. Maybe that means you love mornings and you work in the morning from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Maybe that's you're a night owl and you find a way to work at night. Like there are ways, you just have to present yourself as valuable and present basically a case study of how you can get the work done. So I tell people, business owners, mentees, colleagues, that story for a reason. Like I was able to do that. I was in my early 30s, I think, at that time. Yep. So I, 10 years ago, and I was able to get it done. I was able to demonstrate value. I was able to carve out this like life that I wanted to live. So work-life balance can be achieved. Is it easy? No. Can you make more time for yourself in small ways? And then perhaps it snowballs into bigger ways? Absolutely. I always tell people that have analysis paralysis to start small. Yeah. Because if you choose to do one thing, maybe one thing a day, one thing a month, like you will find that 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, wow, I've changed. I was able to implement change. And it's empowering.
Absolutely. Now, moving from a house in DC to a boat in San Diego, wow.
I know, wild. My parents thought I lost my mind. Actually, everybody in my life in hindsight was like, I thought you went crazy.
Well, they only tell you that afterwards, right?
Right. Nope. I had great supportive everyone in my life that was like, you know what? She needs to do it. Let her do it. And it was one of the best things I've ever done.
That's wonderful. And now you're like, you still have the boat?
No.
No.
No, after owning a boat, I now know that it's better to have a friend with a boat.
The first day and the last day are the best days of owning a boat, right?
100%.
But now you are also doing a lot of golf and a lot of pickleball.
Yes. I can't sit still. So a lot going on in my life always. So pickleball is my greatest passion, I would say at the moment. I love golf as well. It will always be big in my heart. My website was awomanwithdrive.com. You can still go there and see, it's connected to my CEO, Carrie, so you can still see my life as I relate it to golf and leadership and being a woman and challenges and kind of all the stuff we talked about. Like golf will really humble you, but It will really, right? But it will also like empower you to be better and to find new things and new ways and expand your mind and, find peace with yourself, which golf, I don't think you ever find peace with yourself, but it pushes you. It really pushes you. And it's a great business tool. I think we've all known that, golf tournaments, a lot of business was done on the golf course. Yeah. Now I'm hoping eventually business will be done on the pickleball court. We'll see.
Yep.
Maybe our future.
Now people love to play golf with me because I make them look good.
That's what I say too. It's always, I'm having an off day. Let's have another beer.
Well, no, that's the basis for me. But although I like to be on a golf course, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Carrie, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your experience today. I have one last question for today. What is one of your dream, personal, professional, that if someone is listening and can help you with, what would you like them to know?
That's a hard one because, Eric, I'm a woman of action. So I feel like I'm always like working on living my dream. I love the podcast. I'd love to expand it. We'd love to have more sponsors and people that come on that are really elevating women and people in business. So I think my ask would just be listen to the podcast like an event boss. Visit my page, ceocarrie.com. Reach out to me. I love mentoring. I love coaching in the industry and elevating others' voices. So I think my ask is just to be informed and go visit my website.
Wonderful. Carrie, thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you at one of the industry conference.
I hope so. I'd love to see you in person.
Thank you for tuning in to the Business of Meeting podcast. I hope you found today's episode valuable. If you enjoyed the show, the most important thing you can do is leave a review and share it with your colleagues. It really helps spread the word. I truly appreciate your support. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level, don't forget to visit eventbusinessformula.com to learn more about how we are helping even business owners like you. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.